This is Pastor Jeff Chavis. I'm the pastor of Church Online. We're an online community of faith, and you can find us at churchonline.com, but we spell that uniquely church, C-H-R-C-H, online, and we say all that's missing is you. This morning, I've got two words of encouragement, two words that, I don't know, might change your day. Two words: God cares. God cares. There is this thought process in our world today. There's some people that would say, oh, yeah, I believe in God, but their attitude about God is that he's just this grand watchmaker. He started the world, he created it, then he just lets it go. And he's not actively or intimately involved in all of the details of this earth. But the truth is, the Bible teaches us something completely different, that God has not only created it, but he sustains it. He's involved in it, actively involved in it. And yes, he cares about every detail of his creation, and that includes you and me. Now think about this. Let me take you to a couple of places in Scripture. The first one is the Old Testament book of Job. Of course, Job is this story of an individual who the enemy came and said, let me test this guy and he'll curse you to your face. And of course, he never does. But Job has a lot of lamenting, questioning. And finally, at the end of the story, God comes into the picture. And this is what we get in chapter 38 and 39. God says, okay, Job, let me ask you a couple of questions. And he throws down just this incredible monologue that is about how much detail that he's actively involved in. And we don't have time to get into all of chapter 38 and 39, but just one little detail. Job 39, verses 1 and 2, words of God. He says, do you know the time when the wild mountain goats bear young? Or can you mark when the deer gives birth? Can you number the months that they fulfill? Or do you know the time when they bear young? Pause and just think about that little phrase for a moment. God is giving Job all of the details, and I mean the details he's giving have to do with the cosmos, the stars, the movements of the planets, the movements and things that happen right here on our own planet. But then he gets really detailed. And he starts talking about individual creatures. But this one just really stuck out to me. Do you know the time when the wild mountain goat bears young? Can you mark when the deer gives birth? What we're supposed to hear in those words is that God is so active and intimately involved. He knows when mountain goats and deer are going to give birth. That is one of those little details that show us that God is active, and yes, God cares. The way Jesus said it, and this is in Matthew 10:29 through 31. Are not two sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father's will? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore. You are more value than many sparrows. The first little detail in that is that God cares about that little sparrow. Those little sparrows. I can look out my window and there's a tree, and occasionally I'll see a little sparrow in that tree picking off bugs, seeds. I don't know what they're doing up there, but they're in that tree and God's caring for them, and he sees and he knows even that little bird. But the big one is that phrase, the very hairs of your head are all numbered. I know we've heard that, we've probably used that, but if you ever really consider that one for a minute, I mean, do you know the count of the hairs on your head? I have a feeling you don't. Most of us have no idea. But that tells me that God knows every little detail and stuff I don't even know about me. But again, he cares. He cares enough to know the count of the hairs of my head. He cares enough to know about the mountain goats and the deers and the sparrows, and he knows about me. And then one last little passage. This is from 1 Peter 5, 6, and 7. Peter writing, and he says, therefore, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your cares upon him, for he cares for you. That's how I started out. God cares. Peter writing those words, if God is that magnificent and powerful and mighty, but yet he cares for us in such incredible detail, what else can we do but be humbled and humble ourselves under the mighty hand of God, as he says, but that I can cast my cares on him because he cares for me. I don't know what your cares are today. And there's probably people listening today who are going through some big stuff. But we can cast our cares on him because he is a God who cares for us and he cares about what you're going through. Yes, even the little details of your life, but especially the big ones, the things that have us staying awake late at night, the things that are really troubling us today. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a financial burden. Maybe there's something in front of you and you just don't know how you're going to get through this. Maybe it's medical. And I know that there's a lot of people on this list that are going through some serious medical things. But remember those words, cast your cares on him because he cares for you. As you are making your way to that doctor's appointment, as you are making your way to work, to school, to a place where you maybe even have some anxiety about going to today, know that he's with you. Know that he cares for you. He is just simply a prayer away from each and every one of us. So today, remember, the words of Scripture says that he is very close and he sees every detail, every aspect, and yes, he cares for every one of us. Again, there's that thought process that he just set it all in motion and walked away. That's not what we get from the Scripture. We get from the Scripture a God who created it all with just a word, with just a breath, and still sees every little aspect of it and is so concerned he knows about every one of us. And I know there's some big things, and there's again the other argument is, well, if he sees all the details, why doesn't he do something about this or that or this difficult thing, this big thing, this challenging thing, this global thing? Why isn't he involved in that? And the reality is, I don't know, and neither do you. We don't know why God does what he does, but we recognize that his plans are bigger than my plans. Like Isaiah says, his thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are not our ways. So when we see these difficult things, we know that this is the truth. We just cast our